Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into the quiet, brilliant mind of a man named Harry Colt. He's a guy whose philosophy literally changed landscape design forever. You see, before Colt came along, architects kind of viewed a piece of land as this blank canvas, right? A canvas that was just waiting to be overpowered and shaped by sheer human will. But Colt? Well, he believed something completely different. He figured nature had already done the heavy lifting. The architect's job was just to recognize it. So let's explore how this really humble, quiet philosophy completely revolutionized golf architecture around the world and gave us some of the most stunningly elegant landscapes ever built. The greatest golf courses appear so natural that one wonders if they were ever designed at all. I absolutely love that quote because it perfectly captures Colt's whole vibe. His work is universally beloved, but his name, he intentionally kept it out of the spotlight. For Colt, his ultimate metric of success was actually invisibility. If you walked off that 18th green and didn't spend a single second thinking about the guy who drew up the blueprints, well, Colt considered his job done. His whole goal was to fade into the background and let the natural environment completely steal the show. Now, what's really fascinating about Colt is his incredibly unlikely origin story. Born in London and actually trained as a lawyer, his life was supposed to be secure, stable, and honestly, pretty predictable. At the time, his peers in golf course design were mostly greenkeepers or engineers, coming at it with this rugged, earth-moving mindset. But Colt? He brought the thoughtful, analytical restraint of a courtroom lawyer right to the fairways. Being an amateur player himself, he wasn't just obsessed with the mechanics of how a course played. He wanted to know why certain holes just stuck in your memory long after you packed up your clubs. So instead of just rushing in with a bunch of heavy machinery, Colt became a total student of the land. He spent years, and I mean literally years, just unhurriedly walking Britain's legendary grounds, places like St. Andrews, Moorfields, Royal Liverpool, and Sunningdale. He'd just walk and ask these really fundamental questions, like why did this specific ridge create the absolute perfect fairway? Or why did some bunkers feel totally inevitable while others just felt, forced? While everyone else was desperately searching for a place to build a golf course, Colt was searching for the golf course that was already hiding inside the landscape. And that brings us to his core philosophy, which was a pretty radical departure from the norm back then. Basically, nature already knows best. The architect's job? Just uncover it. He was absolutely adamant about letting the land determine the golf, preserving natural beauty at all costs, and doing the absolute bare minimum when it came to earth moving. He wanted to reward thoughtful, strategic positioning over just raw, brute power. The goal was to make every single hole look like it had been sitting there for 1,000 years. To really appreciate this, you have to remember what was standard practice in Colt's era. It was all about heavy construction and intimidation. Architects wanted to force the landscape to bend to their will, creating these incredibly difficult, punishing layouts. But Colt, he was the exact opposite. He firmly believed that the fewer changes you had to make to the land, the better the course ultimately became. He had zero interest in overpowering nature. Instead, he worked in total tandem with it to create these really beautiful, gentle, strategic challenges. He never chased spectacle, period. His designs were all about beauty without excess. He wasn't out there trying to build the deepest bunkers or the absolute scariest hazards just to stroke his own ego. No, he let the beauty arrive completely naturally. We're talking rolling fairways, preserving ancient, beautiful trees, utilizing gentle elevations, and just following the subtle movements of the earth. When you play a Colt course, the overwhelming impression is just, everything feels right. It just belongs. And this natural philosophy, it extended right into the physical experience of playing the game. Colt truly believed that walking was the absolute soul of the sport. He couldn't stand awkward transitions that messed up the rhythm of a round. So he became famous for creating this effortless routing where every single green leads just seamlessly to the next tee. The flow is so natural, you get to experience changing winds and fresh strategic puzzles without ever feeling physically exhausted. In fact, modern architects to this day still study Colt's routing as the absolute gold standard of walkable golf. This whole approach led to what is often called the gentle challenge. Colt completely rejected the idea of unnecessary punishment. By offering generous fairways, his courses rarely ever shout at the player. Actually, they whisper. They whisper these really subtle strategic questions that reward thoughtful planning over just mere survival. The secret to his courses is that if you just listen carefully to what the landscape is suggesting, you'll almost always find the most rewarding path to the hole.
Now let's look at his timeline, because his rise in the golf world was nothing short of meteoric. Born in London in 1869, he didn't even start designing courses until 1901. But wow, did he catch on fast. By 1903, he delivers this absolute masterclass at the Sunningdale New Course, which put him squarely on the map. Word of this spread like wildfire. By the 1920s, clubs all over the world were practically banging down his door for his nature-first philosophy, building a global legacy that he continued to expand right up until he passed away in 1951.
More than 300. That is the truly staggering number of golf courses that Harry Colt influenced globally throughout his career. I mean, we're talking about designs spanning Europe, Canada, South America, Asia, Africa, the whole shebang. And yet, because he never let his own personality overshadow the landscape, literally thousands of golfers have played his masterpieces without having a clue who he was. Which, honestly, to Colt, that was the ultimate compliment.
So, if you ever want to experience his genius firsthand, there is absolutely a bucket list you need to check out. In England, you've got the Sunningdale New Course, Wentworth, and Royal Liverpool. Heading over to Canada, there's the Hamilton Golf and Country Club. And, of course, you can't forget Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, which, by the way, still hosts the Open Championship today. His incredible, elegant routing didn't just give us these amazing destinations. It heavily influenced an entirely new generation of legendary architects, like Alistair Mackenzie. It's amazing to think that over a century later, we can still walk these exact same fairways. When you really boil it down, Colt's greatest success was his unbelievable architectural humility. You know, unlike some celebrity designers out there who want their personal signatures stamped on every single bunker, Colt viewed the landscape as the true star. He truly believed that every hill, every valley, and every ancient tree already had a purpose. His particular genius was just recognizing that purpose before anyone else could. It's a legacy of humility that perfectly explains why so many of us know the breathtaking beauty of his courses way better than we know the name Harry Colt. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought that stretches a bit beyond the fairway. We've seen how Colt literally transformed a heavy-handed industry just by taking a step back, observing, and letting nature lead the way. So, considering that great design is so often quietly discovered rather than forcefully imposed, where in your own life might you benefit from listening a bit more instead of building? Where could a little restraint and some quiet observation reveal the beauty that's already right there in front of you? Something to think about. Thanks so much for exploring the brilliant mind of Harry Colt with me today.